it's interesting. Somebody actually emailed me and said they had talked to somebody who was a graduate of the John Paul II Institute for Studies on Marriage and Family, where I happened to get my degree. And they said this person said that computer dating is totally incompatible with the theology of the body and Pope John Paul II or whatever. And she said, this person graduated from the John Paul II Institute. Well, I wrote back and said, well, I graduated from the John Paul II Institute too, and I can assure you there's nothing wrong with computer dating in regard to the theology of the body. However, I said it is possible that a person could take a kind of consumer attitude toward dating and courtship as part of their computer dating. And I said, but you can take a consumer attitude toward other ways of meeting people too. So you have to just solve that problem. That's not the computer dating is not the problem. The problem is this other thing that the person has taken on is kind of a consumer mentality where I look through this aisle or I look through that aisle and find his wife and take her and go off and get married. So the theology of the body was primarily about explaining the Holy Father. His intention was, and you can see that by the way it developed, his intention was to develop an anthropology to underlie the Church's teaching on morality in marriage, and especially with regard to contraception. Because the dissenters on contraception were constantly trying to say, well, if you're saying that this type of act is immoral, that's physicalism. You're saying that somehow the physical determines morality. And the Holy Father came back with the theology body in spades and said, no, we are body-soul composites, and so what we do with our body is a way of manifesting our personhood. And our personhood is very important. And so that's why people like, I think George Weigel said this is kind of a time bomb of goodness ready to go off in the 21st century, that people are going to realize that the body-soul composite, it's what we do with the body and the soul and the spirit. All of these things together make up our personhood. And so, and in fact, I would say this, I have had some minor disagreements with people who were on the same team in terms of orthodoxy with regard to saying that certain activity during courtship is not appropriate. Some people want to say, well, this is the way you do it. You want to do everything in terms of, everything I do with you, I want to be a loving thing. And I said, well, you need to be a little bit more specific than that, because people are looking at activities, and some of these activities are not helpful. For example, French kissing. I mean, that's very, very stimulating for a normal man. And I guess for some women too, but some women say it's not that stimulating for them. Okay, I believe them. But the thing is that, there are certain activities such as that, and also sitting on the couch and kissing for a half hour. That's not productive. It doesn't help you get to know the person. Geography, yes, but in terms of, personality, it really doesn't help you that much. So it's certainly not a constructive part of courtship. And also, of course, it very often leads to other stuff that shouldn't be done. But, the theology of the body is about saying, yeah, there are certain things that we do with our body that indicate that as person we're not going in the right direction.